Today, I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Do you know those Facebook posts that start with, "Does anybody know somebody who... ... They pop up every single day. Anytime I'm scrolling my feed, I see these types of ISO posts or in search of. And sure, sometimes somebody will tag the perfect person, but more often it turns into a complete guessing game. That is one of the reasons that we built the directory. It's the one place where people in the agriculture and Western industries can go to actually find each other, freelancers, contractors, creatives, service providers, small business owners who already understand what it is that you do, because that is the world that they are rooted in. And it's been really fun seeing the directory work. A designer recently told me that she landed a huge rebranding project from somebody who found her through the directory. And another speaker had told me that she booked her first ever paid speaking event after creating her profile. Those moments make me grin because that is what the directory is supposed to do. Its purpose is to create connections that lead to continued opportunities for others and to also provide solutions for people who are looking for somebody who can help them do whatever it is that they need. So the next time that you catch yourself about to make one of those in search of posts over on Facebook, or if you're somebody who would like to be found yourself, all you have to do is go to ofthewest.co, find our directory, and get to searching. It is the place when it comes to connecting people within our industries, and I know you are going to find the person for whatever job is on your list. Welcome back to today's episode of the podcast. It's getting a little stormy outside. I can hear a little thunder in the sky, so I can only imagine that there is a little storm coming, which is so desperately needed for us. Here in our area, we always need rain, so very excited to have it. But we're going to see how much of this we can get through, and also I'm going to try to rapid fire this just to be quick. Let me tell you what, lightning and electricity are two things I don't mess with. I guess they are kind of one and the same. First things first, let me tell you why on the lightning side of things. I grew up with my mother telling me the story of how her mom, so my grandma Helen, was on the phone in a lightning storm and got shocked by lightning through the phone. She did live to tell the tale about it, obviously, but that has been like burned into my mind, maybe literally. So anytime there's a lightning storm, I won't even wash my hands. I mean, this was again back in the day of like the corded phone. This is definitely not cell phone era. But still, I am very, very cautious when it comes to that. However, this is my other story about electricity that I should probably be a little bit more cautious about. I'm sure I've told you guys this before, but I am just overall a very cautious individual. I do not take chances. Like I'm not very risky, especially when it comes to things that could harm me, aka electricity. So earlier this summer, I was redoing my office, and back in September, I finally had the weekend to wallpaper my office. I had the wallpaper picked out, which was like a multi-weeks long journey to find the right one. It was very, very difficult. If you think there are a lot of paint colors out there, let me tell you what, there are even more wallpaper patterns. And kind of like paint, different wallpaper patterns look good depending on the type of lighting and what is next to them and the overall vibe. And it is kind of stressful, especially when you're somebody like me who you want it to look like Martha Stewart was the one who did the interior designing of your home, like cowgirl Martha Stewart, that is. And I am not a Martha Stewart. I do have a great handyman here locally, and I typically have him do things. But anyways, he was unavailable, and I wanted to get this done ASAP because I was tired of living with these big paint swatches on my walls of all the colors that I tried and didn't love. So I read online that it's pretty easy to do peel and stick wallpaper yourself, but because we have textured walls, I had to go through and I had to skim coat the wall. And then once that dried, I had to sand it down and then I had to prime it and like do all of the prep before we could do the wallpaper. Now, anytime that I have to paint, which one, I have just learned my lesson. I don't paint well. I typically hire Kevin. However, I do not like unscrewing the faceplate off of the outlet because I feel like when I put my little screwdriver in between the two outlet holes, I am somehow accidentally going to stick my screwdriver in there and shock the SHIT out of myself. I've never done that. However, after I got done skim coating, so how you do that is basically you get drywall, like the mud that you would do the texture with, and you apply it to the wall and get it really, really flat and smooth. So then you can sand it down and basically you then have no texture on your surface. Like you've taken the texture away. So I successfully skim coated my walls. Then I went and I was going to put on the primer paint that I needed to apply before I could do the wallpaper. And I noticed that I had some texture next to my outlet. And so I just took my little screwdriver and I'm on the edge of the outlet box. So for me to be afraid of taking off the faceplate of the outlet and I want to turn the power off like this, I was like, oh, this is going to be fine. This is very safe. I'm inches away from anything that could harm me. So I take my screwdriver and I kind of push it down next to the box. And all of a sudden there are sparks and there's this loud boom and the lights go out and I scream and I throw my screwdriver. I don't know how I didn't get shocked. I credit it to the fact that my screwdriver had a rubber handle and I was also wearing those like yoga mat flip-flops. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I can't think of, the brand is Sanuk. I think I have an old school pair of Sanuk flip-flops. They're made out of yoga mats. They are rubber. I don't know if those also saved my life, but I thankfully lived to tell the tale about it. Needless to say, I will not be doing any more home projects. I'm just going to continue to hire Kevin for those. I thank my lucky stars that I didn't shock the crap out of myself. But all that to say, we've got a little lightning storm going on in the background. So let's get to it. The topic of the day, when is it okay to quit? This is a question that I have been wrestling with lately. And the funny part is it didn't necessarily start out as some huge life decision. It started with a book. So I have gotten back into reading this past year. And when I say back into it, I mean like I'm really back into it. I've always been the girl who can pick up a book and devour it in like 3 days flat. Last winter, I think I read like 10 books in a single month. I am flying through them. So when I pick up a new title by a new author that I had loved before, I thought this was going to be a very, very easy win. I was like, I'm going to love this book. It's going to be easy. 3 days from now, I'll be done with it. Except I didn't. About halfway through, I realized I was not enjoying it, and the book just sat there. Night after night, week after week, literally, you guys, month after month. I kept walking past it, sitting on my nightstand, and it started to kind of feel like it was mocking me. Like, why aren't you going to pick me up? Why aren't you going to finish this? Are you a quitter? And I'll tell you what the real problem is. I don't really know necessarily why I didn't like the book, other than the main character had a man bun. And I don't know why, but that just did it for me. I couldn't get past the man bun. I'm sorry if you have a man bun or if your significant other has a man bun. You're still a great person. It's just not my preferred hairstyle, I guess. And then beyond that, the characters, they just didn't really like connect for me. They didn't feel like they had the right charisma. Anyways, I just didn't love the book. I'm 160 pages in on a 320-page book, and I don't know what to do. Do I keep reading it, even though I don't love it? Is that quitting? Do I keep going? Do I keep pushing myself? Is it okay to push yourself if you absolutely hate something? Like, at what point do you just drop it and say, okay, enough is enough. It's fine. It's just not for me, and it's okay. I am mentally wrestling with all of this literally because of a book. So I did what most all of us do these days. I polled my Instagram audience and I asked, do I keep going or is it okay to quit reading this book? And honestly, I was kind of expecting people to tell me, just push through it. It gets better. But almost everybody said the same thing, especially those who had read that particular book. They told me it didn't really get much better. So that made me feel a little bit better. But they said, if you don't love it, stop reading it. Life is too short. And let me tell you, the validation that I felt in that moment was absolutely huge because I wasn't a quitter. I'm not a sissy. Somebody, though, did have a really great suggestion of skipping ahead and reading the last chapter. And then if you like the last chapter, go back and read the book from where you left off through the end, which I loved that advice because it's still giving effort, but it's giving yourself permission to, leave something behind if it doesn't serve you. And isn't that how life works? Just because you dated somebody for, let's say, like 7 or 8 years doesn't mean that you have to marry them. Otherwise, you're going to be labeled a quitter. If you're not happy, nobody says, stick it out. They say, do what makes you happy. If you're not happy, go find what makes you happy. If the dream is you want to get married, do you just want to get married just to get to the dream of being married? Probably not. Or do you want to get married to the right person? Like, yes, the dream is to get married. Yes, the goal is to finish the book. But if that is not the right dream or that is not the right goal, you have to be okay with listening to your gut and knowing that you're not quitting or that quitting in that moment isn't a bad thing. It's listening to your gut, which is telling you something otherwise. So part of my mindset on quitting is how I was raised. And I have a feeling it is very similar for many of us because I, like many of you, was raised not to be a quitter. As I mentioned earlier, quitting is for sissies. And truthfully, I still believe firmly, without a shadow of a doubt, there is so much power in finishing what you start because life as an adult is at least, I'm going to say like 60% doing things you don't want to do so you can get to the incredible 40% that makes it all worthwhile. There is actually a Jerry Rice quote that I love, and it is, today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't. I'll say that one more time. Today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't. That is resilience. That is the grittiest mindset. And I think that we all have a lot of respect for that type of mentality. But then there is the other side of me, the side that believes that life is way too short to waste time on things that drain you or don't serve you or don't fulfill you. I always say that life is too short for bad coffee. I think the reason that I have specifically say this is because I wake up in the morning and the thing that I am looking forward to most of all is coffee. This is partly why I'm a Starbucks girl, because I know that I can go to any Starbucks, any location in the US or abroad, and I can get the exact same cup of coffee that I have came to expect. Like, I'm setting myself up. I'm not going to be disappointed by the outcome. I digress though. But the point of that is, if I don't like this coffee, I don't have to drink it. I can throw it in the trash and not feel guilty about it and feel like, oh no, I have to choke it down because I wasted my money or somebody put effort into this or whatever that is. Like, no, if I don't like the taste of it, I don't have to drink it. I can throw it away and I can walk to another coffee shop and I can go buy a cup of coffee that I actually enjoy, that actually tastes good, that fulfills me, that brings me life and joy and energy. And I can drink that cup of coffee and it's going to be okay. So I know that is kind of a silly example, but in reality, what's the difference between bad coffee and a bad book? Like, if I have no disappointment in myself for throwing away a bad cup of coffee, but I am triggered by the fact that I am going to stop reading a book when I'm halfway through it and not finish it. Like, what? None of that makes sense. So the big question here is, when do you push through and when do you call it quits? And this question, when is it okay to quit, has shown up in my life a lot, especially around the topic of speaking. So for the last few, I would say years, speaking has been a huge part of what I do. Big stages, cross-country flights, events, I would say in the last couple of years, at least averaging once a month. And I have loved so much of it. Every bit of it I have enjoyed. I love meeting people. I love pouring into others. The majority of it is rooted in agriculture, which you guys know. Obviously, that is why we are all here. We love agriculture. I love agriculture. Like, how in the world is this what I get to do for a living? And when I do that, it absolutely pours into me. But here is the hard truth. It doesn't always pour into me at the same rate that it pours out of me. The nerves that I get the weeks before, at least having to be gone 3 days for any kind of talk that I do, because especially when I have to fly somewhere, which is the majority of the speaking gigs that I get, I have to fly there the day before. I speak that day, and then there's usually not a flight home because most of these areas are rural areas. Boise is a rural airport to a degree, so there's not a ton of flight options. So I almost always have to stay the night after I speak, and then I can fly home the next day. So if I leave on a Monday, I don't get back till Wednesday, which is basically 3 days for a 1-hour event. I am exhausted after, as you guys know, just being gone for any amount of time. There are other things that start to pile up, being gone from kids' things. Like, it's just so exhausting to the degree where like that exchange rate of am I receiving what I am giving just didn't necessarily feel equal. And then possibly to make matters worse, because I still have this like internal dialogue of feeling guilty that I'm gone. Every single time that I fly somewhere, it is typically to the east, which means that I fly over our ranch. And seeing it from the sky is absolutely breathtaking. But I will tell you guys, it is also very gut-wrenching in the sense that it is a bird's eye view of everything that I was leaving behind. Like, it was a gut punch in that moment of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place right now? Or is the place that I am looking at, 20,000 feet above the earth, is that where I am supposed to be? Am I making the right decision for myself and for my family? And I'm going to get very honest with you guys, probably like 9 times out of 10, I will cry on the plane. I know my family is proud of me. I am very proud of me, but that doesn't necessarily make it any easier. And so it really made me ask myself, is the opportunity that I am taking worth more than the one that I'm leaving behind? So you guys know me, I'm a very analytical, data-driven person. So at the start of this year, I told myself that I was not going to take on any speaking gigs because I wanted to see what life felt like without them. And to be honest, we are now in the last quarter of the year, and I will say that I haven't necessarily missed it. Sure, I miss the people and I miss the energy and I miss all of the great things that really do pour into me, but I don't miss traveling. I don't miss feeling guilty about leaving Justin with the kids, which you guys, he is the greatest hands-on dad. He is the most supportive person. I could go anywhere, get any type of opportunity, and he is going to tell me to take it. But it is just the act of me being gone puts more stress on him and on our family. Just asking myself of, is that opportunity that I'm taking worth more than what I'm leaving behind? So does this mean that I am quitting speaking? No, it does not. I am still going to be getting on stages, but it does mean that I've learned that it's okay to shift. It's okay to say this doesn't fit me right now. And it's okay to change course without labeling yourself as a quitter. And here's where I want to add another layer because I think this really matters. None of us get to live a life where we love every single element of what we do. I was reminded of this recently in the mastermind that I've been a part of when Chris Harder had said something that really kind of stopped me in my tracks. And that was, the money is in the mundane. This goes back to what I said earlier about how 60% of what we do is stuff that we don't love, so that we can do the 40% of stuff that is absolutely what we were put on this earth to do. And it is so true, because the truth is not everything is supposed to feel exciting. There is always going to be paperwork. There is always going to be laundry. There will always be things that feel boring or heavy or hard. That is part of being human. And that is part of building anything that is worth building. You have to do the crappy tasks. You have to do the stuff that you do not want to do so that you can achieve the outcome that others will not have because they are not willing to do the work. I also firmly believe that you can't ask your employees to do something that you're not willing to do, but that is probably a conversation for a different day. So no, you don't get to quit everything just because you don't feel like doing it. But you also don't have to chain yourself to something that is completely misaligned just because you started it once upon a time. So for me, I have boiled it down to a couple of checkpoints. Checkpoint number 1, am I facing resistance because it is genuinely hard or because it's genuinely wrong for me? I think this is a really great question to ask yourself. And these checkpoints, let me please add, this is not something that after you ask yourself, you're going to get to the answer in 10 seconds. It is going to take time. It is going to take days. It is going to take continual revisiting of these. These answers are very fluid, just like your goals are. So the answers to these things can change over time. Checkpoint number 2, is this a mundane step that is necessary for the bigger picture, or is it a detour that's leading me away from the dream? And then checkpoint number 3, if I quit this, what am I making space for? So all of that leads us back to the opening question that I asked you guys, which is, when is it okay to quit? I think we've probably established there is no easy answer. And sometimes it is uncomfortable to admit that something we thought we wanted just doesn't fit anymore. But asking ourselves those questions, those checkpoints that we just talked about, that is what helps keep us honest. Because at the end of the day, it's really not about quitting versus not quitting. I think it's more about having the courage to know which hard things are worth enduring, like which ones I need to hold myself accountable to do, even though I do not enjoy doing this, because this action, this task, whatever it may be, is the thing that is going to get me to the life that I want to live, to the result that I want to have. It is the Jerry Rice quote of, today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't. And I think it's also really courageous to have the discussion with yourself of which dreams and goals just no longer serve me. And is it something that I'm holding on to because I think I have to, that I'm letting myself down? Or is it something that I just truly don't love the way that I thought I was going to love it? Or it doesn't fulfill you the way that you thought that it was going to? So whether it is a book on your nightstand, like me, or a job that doesn't feel like you anymore, or a business that you have built that just no longer really serves or fulfills you, or maybe it's a relationship that just feels very stagnant and it doesn't feel wrong, but it also doesn't feel right. Just be brave enough to ask yourself, is the opportunity I'm taking worth more than what I'm leaving behind? Because this one life is way too short for watered down dreams or bad coffee or anything less than your fullest version of the dream. And those things are very, very fluid, and they are going to continue to change as we change. And I think it's really important for us to give ourselves the grace to realize that, to know that we aren't necessarily just quitting. We're not necessarily being a sissy, but that there are also things that we have to woman up or man up and do, even if we don't like them. And that's what I've got for you guys today. If this episode hit home for you, I would love to hear about it. Please shoot me a message on Instagram or share this with somebody who might need the reminder that every now and then it is okay to quit sometimes. Or maybe they need the reminder, yes, it's hard. You've got to keep doing it if you want to get to whatever result is coming next. You've got to be willing to do it because not everybody else is. With that, you guys, you can find us back here next week. Brand new episode will be coming for you. We will see you then.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.